I'm Allison with the Mission 43 Education Pillar, and today I'm sitting down with subject matter experts to talk about teaching opportunities in Idaho and the education to get you there. This is the Mission 43 Education Discovery Series. Thanks so much for joining us for the Mission 43 Education Discovery Series. I am privileged to sit here with Joanne Collins. Joanne is a Mission 43 Leaders Fellow, but not just a Mission 43 Leaders Fellow. She is an HR professional. She's a military spouse. She's a rock star mom, and she is now a 5th grade science and math teacher at Gym Prep, Idaho, which is in Meridian.
Yes. How am I going to follow that up? You just made me sound like a rock star.
I mean, you are. So, Joanne, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
First and foremost, I'm a mom. I have 4 beautiful kids.
So you're first and foremost a mom.
Right.
But how did you get into teaching?
So I've spent more than 20 years in HR, finance, accounting, and it was, I didn't go seek it out. It found me. So we lived in Las Cruces. My husband was stationed at White Sands Missile Range, and we had just done COVID, and the students were out of school for 15, 18 months. When they got out of school, when they were put in quarantine in March of 2020, they didn't go back until August of 2021. So my children start school, they're excited, right? They haven't been in school 15, 18 months, and they're excited, so they go to school. 2 weeks into school, I get an email from the principal. You know, that standard, hey, school's going great, this is the things we need. But at the bottom, there was this last paragraph that said, see, I get emotional when I talk about it because it was so motivating. It said, at any given day, we are missing 10 substitutes. So if you even have a thought that you'd like to teach, that you want to be in a classroom, all you have to have is 60 credit hours of college, and we would love to have you. And so I sat there and I thought, wow. So you think 20 kids in a class, 25 kids in a class, and on any given day they're missing 10 substitutes. So I thought for a little bit. I said, what happens to these kids? So I wait for my daughter to get home. You know, I'm sitting there all impatient, waiting for her to get there. And so she comes home. She's in 10th grade. And Brooklyn, what do you do? I got this note. And she said, well, we go to the Commons. And I said, what do you mean you go to the Commons? And picture a room that has tables, chairs, cafeteria tables, and you've now filed 200 kids in this room. And so I asked her, what do you do? She said, well, if our teacher knew they were going to be absent, then they would put an assignment in Canvas for us. But if they didn't, we just sit and we wait. And man, that broke my heart. Because I said, my daughter's a sophomore. She wants to go to West Point, you know, follow in her dad's footsteps. And how's she going to do that if she's not getting curriculum? Yeah. And so my husband came home and I said, I think I want to do this. And he said, Joanne, you already have a job. And at the time, I was still HR director for an ABA clinic in New York. And I probably never would have sought this out had I not been an HR director for this clinic, because this clinic is a bunch of amazing women who have devoted their lives to work with children with autism. And being around those women in that atmosphere, I guess, empowered me to feel like I could be with children. So I went down there, applied, they said, okay, fine. Fill out the paperwork, do the background check, did the online, because we were still doing online orientations, and did the online orientation, and the HR director calls me afterwards and says, would you take a long-term sub position? I'd never been in the classroom. So I said, first tell me what it is, before I say yes.
Might need to know what I'm signing up to.
Before I say yes to this, and he said, you're just gonna be a sub in a classroom for 2 to 3 weeks until we can hire a teacher. And then he slipped in, but you know, you could be a teacher because you have an MBA. And I said, no, that's okay. I'll go and sub. And so I went down and I walked into the classroom, and what I didn't know is that these particular students did not have a full-time teacher. So we're 1 month into school. At this point, by the time I walk into the classroom, we're 5 weeks into school and they haven't had a regular teacher. So once again, picture it. Yeah. You have kids who have been in COVID quarantine for 15, 18 months, some of them longer. And now they're back to school. In their first month of school, don't have a teacher, and they have a rotating door of subs. And I said, okay, we're gonna get started. I didn't know what I was doing. But we got started, and they handed me a bunch of teacher's guides, said go home and put together a lesson plan and come back on Monday and be prepared to teach. And I did it, and it was the most crude lesson plan you'd probably ever seen. It was my notes on how I was going to do this. Walked in, and with HR, I'm so used to managing people, right? But you have to manage 20 people that are all 10, 11, who have not been in a classroom for a long time. So I went home that evening, and I sat on the couch and kind of slid down. And you know, when you get home, you had a bad day at work, and you kind of melt into the couch. And I said, I don't know, honey, I don't know. And my husband said to me, he said, you know, Joanne, they don't know if you've been teaching 1 day or 20 years. Yeah. Go in there and own the room. And so the next day I walked into the room and I wrote on the board, I will not lie, cheat, or steal, or tolerate those that do so. And so they came in, Ms. Collins, what are we doing? What is that? And I said, let me tell you a little bit about myself. And that's how I started. That's the West Point Honor Code. And so I introduced them to my husband, went to West Point. We lived there for a while. And that started my journey of being in the classroom with students, and spent the next year teaching that exact class because 2 weeks later they said, how would you like to be the permanent teacher? And then told me what I have to do to get there.
Did you do the emergency certification route?
No, in New Mexico, so in New Mexico they have alternative teaching license. Okay. And if you have been placed or have a desire to work in the school system as a full-time teacher, then you can enroll in one of their programs with a college that is accredited. And my particular college is Western New Mexico State University, and it's a 21 credit hour program. And since you have to have a bachelor's to start the program, of course, and then it's 21 credit hours of curriculum. So teaching of reading, lesson plans for English, and just walks you through what you need to do to be able to take the teaching certifications. Okay. And enrolled with them. And their program is I can do all of my teaching. It's an online program, and I can do all of my teaching in the classroom. And I can record videos of myself teaching and then submit those as my student teaching.
And so you went from HR director,
yes,
which you still do HR.
I still do. The same ABA
so you have
in New York.
More than one job. You're a superwoman. You're a mom. You have stepped in and taken care of children without a teacher that were just getting shoved into a 200-person room for hours of time during their day. What did you teach?
I taught 5th grade, and in New Mexico, for Las Cruces public school system, the 5th grade teacher teaches all the classes. So I taught all 5. They split ELA there. So it was math, science, social studies, reading, and writing. And so I taught all 5 subjects in 5th grade.
And now you're in Idaho.
I am.
This is it, military life.
Husband's retiring. He will be done. He'll start terminal leave in the spring. And then, we moved up here to get the family settled, so my girls can start school here in Idaho. And by the time he retires, get here, we're all settled and ready to go. It's 20 years. We're ready to get involved in the community and have one of those. My husband and I are both born and raised military all of our lives, and so finding a community that we can be a part of and do great things in is exciting for both of us.
Well, I can't tell you how lucky that I feel that you have made this community your home, and that I get to be a little bit, teeny tiny part of your community. And just honestly getting to see you is incredible, but you didn't stop there. You're teaching here. What made you decide to keep on and go down that path?
So I had such a great time last year. I have always had many jobs as a military spouse. Had many jobs, 2 or 3 year stints. This was 1 year, and I decided to change the entire career path. The students, they just grabbed on to me and took the knowledge that I was able to give them. And they made me want to just change it all. And I felt, first time ever, a draw to it. Love HR. Would love to continue to do HR in some capacity. But I felt a need, not a need that I could fulfill for the community, and a need that personally I think I was missing. And so I reached out here, and Mission 43 helped guide me on what I needed to do to find placement here in Idaho. And so I wasn't sure if my alt license program in New Mexico would transfer up here, but it does. And so through Mission 43, they were able to guide me to the charter school program. And so I was able to apply with Gen Prep, which I'm very excited to be there. And here in Idaho, they just recently passed a law that allowed people who are working through the alt licensure program to be certified through the charter school program. Interviewed with them, and they said, do you want to teach 5th grade math and science? Yes, I do. I love 5th graders.
Oh, that's awesome. So you're keeping on with teaching 5th graders.
I am.
And are your kids going to be able to go to the same school?
So Coco's coming with me.
That's amazing.
My older 2 girls, because my oldest one now is a junior in high school, and my middle one, Madison, she's in 7th grade, they opted to go to Mountain Home this year.
Okay.
They wanted check out the school system there in Mountain Home, but Coco wanted to come with me. She's very excited about the uniforms.
Oh,
she
good.
gets to wear Gym Prep on her shirt, and she is very excited. Number one, she's just excited to be back in school.
Yeah.
She loves school. And then when we took her to Gym Prep so she could look around, she got very excited about the campus. Yeah. So we're bringing her to Gym Prep, where she'll be in 2nd grade there.
That's incredible. Well, I feel like I could sit here and talk to you forever. Your story just, I mean, it resonates, and I know there's so many military spouses that are going to feel the same way in that career change. But thinking about our crowd and thinking about people that might be going through the same thing you did, what is the one piece of advice or several that you would give someone that is thinking about, maybe I could be a teacher?
That you can do it. There is such a need right now, all over the country. New Mexico was suffering from the teacher loss after COVID, and Idaho, I read an article the other day about Idaho was in need of teachers, and they can do it. There are programs designed for them. There are programs that they can go through the local college. Charter schools are now able to certify them, so there's another route there, whether they go public school with their local district or whether or not they go through the charter school program, but they can do it. And there's always a guide everywhere. So with my program through Western New Mexico State University, there are advisors that walk you through the program, the certification program, everywhere that you need to be and how you need to get licensed. It's not a scary thing. Yeah. Walking into the classroom is not a scary thing. You have 20 sets of eyes that are on you, but they want what you have to give them. Yeah. And so I think that if there's another military spouse like me, who's maybe their children are now of school age and they're saying, well, maybe I'd like to go back into the workforce, education is very rewarding. And they should look into it here in Idaho.
You've heard it from Joanne. She upended her entire life and decided to become the best teacher out there. I'll stand by that. I'm going to put a question form below. If you are feeling like this is your path, this is your calling, I want to be an educator, I don't want my children to sit in a room full of 200 kids not learning anything, please contact us. We will get you connected with the right resources. That's why we're here, and we are so thankful for members like Joanne, and I couldn't have asked for a better person to sit down with today.
Thank you for having me. I think my story is unique, and I just appreciate the platform for you to be able to allow me to come in and tell everybody that there is an avenue into education for them.
There is. Thank you.
Thank you.